I wasn't going to let this day go by. I was going to preach today because in 8.5 years of being a deacon, this is the first time I get to preach on a weekend about marriage. You lucky, lucky people. I've done it at weddings before, but for a weekend mass, this is really what I've been waiting to do. The reason for that first passage, Proverbs 31, that is my favorite passage in the Old Testament, hands down. And what we heard this morning was just a portion of it. So if you want to check it out, it's Proverbs 31, verses 10 through 31. It's called The Poem on the Woman of Worth. That takes me back many years ago when I was single. We would sit around, me and some other brothers in Christ, and we would ruminate on this passage. And we would talk about that wonderful day when each one of us would find that perfect Proverbs 31 woman, make her our wife. And that conversation usually was cut short when somebody would pipe up and say, even if you find this woman, bruh, she ain't gonna wanna marry you. But I never gave up hope. And thanks be to God, I have been truly, truly blessed. And now, many years later, here at St. Rita, this passage is often selected by husbands for the funerals of their wives. And it serves as a constant reminder to me of the unfailing prize that I have in Jennifer and the gift that marriage can be. So, let's preach about marriage. What is your main job in your marriage? It is to do everything you can to get your spouse to heaven. And if you have children, to get them to heaven too. But I'm talking today about spouses. So that they hear the words, well done, good and faithful servant. And as followers of Jesus, married or not, that should actually be our main objective with everyone. It's what we do. To use what God has given us to get others to heaven, like we heard in today's gospel. But that can be lived out most acutely in the sacrament of matrimony. How, you may ask? Lots of ways, but I got a few ideas. 1, love fiercely. Matrimony is a sacrament of service to your spouse, to your kids. But specifically with your spouse, if you can show your spouse in practical, tangible ways the love that Jesus has for them, you will be giving them a foretaste of heaven in the reality of now. Laying down your preferences, always being a safe place for the other, and showing honor to your spouse on a regular basis. They can be guideposts for both of you on your way to your eternal home. Again, Proverbs 31. Years ago, I lived in a family household where the husband, the dad, every Sunday dinner would read Proverbs 31 aloud to his wife in front of the kids in the household. Very, very specific way to honor her. He recognized her identity as a daughter of God, and he appreciated her deep love for the Lord, both of which nudged them closer to their eternal home and had a profound effect on their children and on me, a guest in their house. I never forgot that. Love fiercely. 2, pray for each other and pray with each other. Now you may think, well, geez, that's a given. That's a no-brainer. We know that. That's not necessarily true. I'll tell you why. In deacon formation, about 3 years into the 7 years, we were in class, and they asked the class, do you pray with your spouse? Everybody's hand went up in the air. And the Vitas were kind of like, a little more tentative, a little sheepish, because I was thinking, no, we don't pray together. Why would we do that? Well, sometime later, we discussed it as a couple. And I told my wife, don't you know that I pray for you all the time? And she got this look on her face, and she said, what do you think I do for you? I didn't know. I never thought about it. So after some coaching, we began to pray together on a regular basis. It revolutionized our marriage. Revolutionized our marriage. There is something about taking a private act, such as prayer, and opening it up for another person to share, that deepens that relationship with each other and with the Lord. Another step closer to heaven every time you pray together. 3, don't wait. In our second reading, we hear that the day of the Lord will come like a thief at night. When people are saying peace and security, then a sudden disaster comes upon them. We will all stand before Jesus, but we don't know when. Heaven's door could be just around the corner. Don't wait until you get that life-altering phone call. Don't wait until you hear the word cancer out loud for the first time. Don't wait to hear Proverbs 31 proclaimed at a funeral. Don't wait. All of us, married or not, love fiercely now. Pray with each other today. Live in God's light and in God's love, and in doing so, we will all journey together toward heaven. And in addition, others will see God in us and just might join in on the way. On the way to that place where we will hopefully hear the words of Jesus. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Come share your master's joy. Let's help each other today to get to heaven. Because heaven may be closer than we think.